Chinese car brands are taking over the world by storm, but in the US, they've got no Welcome to America signs celebrating their business. With the recent election of Donald Trump as president, tariffs and taxes on Chinese goods are bound to increase, and what that means is just that it's going to be even more restrictive for the Chinese companies, as if it weren't already very restrictive. I mean, every time Trump says China,
China, China, China, China, China, China, China, China, China, China.
take a shot, and I doubt you'll make it to the end of the video sober. So we're going to be diving in on why these tariffs are imposed in the first place, and make it to the end of the video sober. So we're going to be diving in on why these tariffs are imposed in the first place, why there is some political stigma behind the car industry, and honestly every industry, and why Elon Musk is the most excited person after the election results. Today, we're going to be answering all of these questions and taking a deep dive in the car industry. So first, I want to talk about Chinese car companies in general. And a lot of Americans are kind of out of date when it comes to Chinese cars, as they've never seen them or even driven them or even online. If you're one of these people, let me fill you in. These things have literally been dominating in every other market but the US. And not just petroleum cars, but especially EVs. Companies like BYD, SAIC, I don't know how to spell that name, SAIC, whatever, Geely, and much more are filling the roads all over the world. Except the US, of course. I mean, look at these statistics of market share. China is literally all the way up there while the others are stomped in comparison. Not only that, but in the EU, Chinese EVs are dominating already, with BYD and other Chinese OEMs taking up over 70% market share. This is quite literally monopoly statistics without an actual monopoly, as these guys have no governmental connections or power in the EU at all, as a relationship between China and Europe is generally not all that great because of Taiwan and the situation there. So what is the reason behind this domination? So let's go over about that political talk and let's talk cars, finally. After all, this is what this channel is about. It's just, about cars. Let's get into it. I can actually speak from experience because I also own a Chinese car myself. Also, I promise I'm not biased at all. The first thing that helps these cars dominate is the price. I mean, come on, it's Chinese, it's bound to be cheap. The thing is, back in the day, this used to come with the catch that the quality wasn't so good. Today, however, that's not the case. 50% less price than the competition gets you an actually well-built car. Sure, it's no German engineering, aside from the electronics though, but it still beats the likes of Tesla and other horrible takes on EVs by other companies. I mean, I've had a very cheap Chinese car by MG, and it's lasted me 210,000 kilometers with no problems. Sure, they're not perfect, their turbos are a bit janky, and the build quality isn't up there, but this is the case with all cheaper models. And for 25, 15, or even less than 10 grand, you can get always better quality than what you're getting from the competition at the same price, or even 2 times less than American and European counterparts. So how and why does the US restrict Chinese cars? So let's get to the reason why the US actually restrict these cars. I could go ahead and simply say it poses a national threat, but you and I both know that this simply isn't true. It seems that the US always uses the scapegoat of national security, even with technology, as they did with Huawei in 2019, which was also under Trump's presidency. So, given the history, I think I'm pretty sure that we all know Trump's stance on Chinese goods and Chinese companies in general.
China, 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 China.
That's a video for another time though. It's no secret that the US government is partially, if not mostly or fully controlled by certain industries and big names in the market. I mean, just look at how much dollars the automotive industry spent lobbying the United States government. Oh, and that's $65 million in 2024 alone. For any industry to be spending $65 million to just influence their governmental lackeys to turn the tide in their favor is just pathetic and quite honestly un-American. But why would they do this? Well, they certainly aren't dumb and will use any unfair advantage to their favor, as is the case with many United States industries. They see what the Chinese companies are doing outside of their safe haven of the United States and they're afraid. I mean, whole markets are being swept out by 1 or 2 companies. Monopolizing entire markets without any governmental interference is something not impressive on just the car industry, but honestly, any industry. And to top it all off, they aren't even putting their most in. This is the craziest part. I mean, think about it. Their prime customers are in China and will continue to be dominant in their homeland. They don't need the extra money from other countries like Africa or South America or Europe. Like, those countries aren't even getting the full experience. The prices are even lower in China, and the government gives you tax deductions for buying EVs, and you've got way easier maintenance and repair. So despite all of these things, they're still dominating in all other markets outside of China, and especially dominating inside of China. I mean, the Chinese are so confident that they actually decrease tariffs for American cars. They're welcoming the competition. They're like, hey, hello, American manufacturers, you can put your cars inside our country. But they're so confident, they know that they will never beat them. They will never beat the massive car companies in China that have been working so much, like they've been working day in, day out, a huge workforce that it's going to be very hard for the United States to compete. And finally, like I said, it resonates with their culture. Something that's very important in Chinese business and trade is that, they care a lot about business ethics and business culture, and they trust more when it's from their homeland. Now, hold your horses. I know you might see me as this Chinese automotive industry plant that wants to convince you to buy your Chinese cars. I'm sorry if I do seem that way, but trust me, it's not. I don't want to paint the picture that China is such a great car manufacturer and that they should have instant access to sell in the US as much as they want with no taxes or tariffs involved. I mean, just to put the numbers into perspective, the automotive industry alone employs over 10 million people in the United States, and last year alone, it employed over 3 million. Having these Chinese car companies come in and dominate the market is going to take the jobs away of millions of people and potentially crash the market. Something like this has already happened with Toyota though. They were dominating the market so much so that the auto industry saw huge declines. So much so actually that Reagan imposed tariffs and restrictions for Toyota. So what did the all-knowing wise Toyota do? They simply introduced manufacturing plants inside the US itself to avoid these huge taxes and tariffs. Now I know, I say simply, they put their manufacturing plants, but it's actually much harder than you think. It costs millions, if not billions of dollars, and this is also a cost that you should keep in mind. But this is one of the richest car companies we're speaking about here. China, or their companies, they can easily pay, millions or if not billions of dollars to put their manufacturing plants in America and get it all over with. But is it really that simple? This isn't as easy for China as it is for Toyota, as US has heavy political stigmas against China, and China pulling a Toyota move would basically topple their whole anti-China and anti-trade agenda upside down, especially now that Trump is president. I know I've mentioned Trump a lot, but Trump is actually a very key factor in trade of the United States. This guy is the most anti-China of any president out there. He hates China and he needs Chinese goods, so I would not want to downplay his role in all of this. However, another person with a heavy role in this is actually Elon Musk. I've mentioned Elon Musk before, and remember that $65 million lobbying, costs? That's nothing what Elon Musk actually paid for Donald Trump. Let me explain. So what is Elon's role in all of this? If you've been living under a rock, Elon Musk is one of the most influential figures in US history, and more importantly, the automotive industry. Look, say what you want about the man, but he's built and pioneered the EV sector for so long, he should practically be an invincible in the industry, right? But he simply isn't. Ford, Grand Motors, Nissan, Toyota, Honda have much higher market shares, although they adapted to EV much later than Tesla did. I mean, come on, Musk, you've been in this game longer than everybody else. How are you not toppling out the competition by the likes of General Motors and Ford? And to be quite frank, Trump is Elon's final strand of hope if he actually wants to make Tesla a better, more dominant brand. He spent almost $120 million promoting Trump's political campaign. That is almost twice of the whole industry lobbying in 2024. Many journalists are even describing this as lobbying on a whole new level. This pro-Trump sequence of actions only helps Elon Musk not get absolutely stomped out when another competitor like BYD or SAIC, SAIAC, and again, I can't get the name for the life of me, gets involved. Now, although I don't have many resources on this, but it could be very possible that not only Elon Musk and Tesla, but all other American manufacturers like Ford and GM are collectively trying to lobby or influence the US government in some way to not let Chinese competition in, and for good reason. Like I said, their cars are more expensive, their cars are sometimes lower quality. Especially with the internet nowadays, you can immediately see reviews of Chinese cars, and everybody else see these Chinese cars and they look at their features and everything. People are very inclined to buy them. The product marketing is the product itself. That's just what happens when you have a great deal, when you have a great product. And quite frankly, when the US has huge taxes for their employees, they overpay their not overpay, sorry, but their inflation is way too high. It's just way more expensive than getting it from China. Chinese people are always going to be cheaper. Chinese labor is cheaper. Chinese material is cheaper. All of these factors combined with the fact that the product itself is actually good, not just cheaper, but actually good. This makes like a deadly combination to, of course, make these people with huge influence over the government to take action. So can the US actually do something aside from just lobbying the entire government and just imposing, outright, just crazy laws against Chinese car manufacturers? Well, yeah, it's very simple. Just make the cars better, bro. I mean, just make them more affordable, decrease car insurance costs, and so much more that could potentially not require them to spend hundreds of millions of dollars in governmental lobbying. If you have that much influence over the government, you surely can have influence over other industries as well. Oil industry has influenced the car industry. The car industry has influenced the oil industry. Each industry can influence the other. Why can't these car companies, make more moves to make their cars more appealing, make their cars cheaper, just something to make your cars better. So an American who's looking at these Chinese cars doesn't feel bad. You're like, hey, why are these Chinese cars not in the US? I want to own this car. I don't have money for a brand new Ford or a brand new Cadillac or Chevy. These things are expensive. The insurance is way too high. Car payments, the interest, the inflation, everything, But quite simply, why would they need to? They're already making money. They can already just use their unfair positions to stomp out the competition. Why would they? They're making money, and that's honestly what they care about. It's just corporate greed, and that's what America has been all about for the past century or so. But what can you and I, random people online, do? If you thought I was getting your hopes up or signing you up for a petition, I'm not, let's stop right there. But it's always better to be informed and educated. I hope this video kind of taught you about the car automotive industry. But please, before you click away from this video, I want to tell you something. This is only my second video on the platform, and I know I have a lot to improve. It would mean a lot to me if you could type in the comments what you think I could do better, or drop a like if you found my video nice. Thank you all guys for watching. AAA Car Guy out.